I'm pretty sure stage 3, this is when you don't have to overthink anymore.
They're on that win streak. It's not going to end here. And we're back with pick'ems.
Could have gone better, couldn't it, stage 2?
Vibes were pretty off, not just for everybody doing pick'ems, but for Falcons as well.
What we have learned from stage 2 is that anyone who has a diamond coin is an absolute nut job.
Things could have gone a lot better, but really, if you came away from stage 2 with 5 correct, stop it. Get some help.
Teams like, Falcons, they're not going to fuck up here, are they? So it's completely fine to just carry on like stage 2 didn't happen and just pick the good teams to go through. We might as well just call these NPC pick'ems because Vitality are going 3-0, obviously. No one's breaking their streak.
We have Vitality through 3-0. They're on that win streak. It's not going to end here. The mood's going to be so high. Apex has been watching all these teams shit talk without him. He's probably feeling a little bit left out. He's watching Lear taunt everybody. He's watching Amelia get up in some of these teams' faces, and he's really been missing that.
MOUZ have beaten Spirit twice. So MOUZ number 2 seed, Spirit number 3 seed, and MOUZ have beaten them twice in 2025. I think MOUZ are going to come in hot, justify their old 2023, 2024 status as group stage warriors. I think they're going to go 3-0. I hope they do, because then they're going to be opposite brackets of Vitality, and that's going to be good for them long term, right?
Just based on current form, and when we think about it, who's been great in group stages? It has to be MOUZ. There's really no doubt about it. You have Torzy. He's going to be laughing his way to the bank. He's going to be laughing his way through this stage. They're really not going to have any trouble versus teams other than Vitality.
Spirit, they're the only team left in the big 3. Used to be a big 4, and we all know what happened. But Spirit are getting 3. You've got Donk. You're not getting grouped if you have Donk. Okay? It's just not happening.
There's a couple of names that we can at least cross off the list in the 3-1, 3-2 section here. One of them has to be Spirit. You might think the vibes in Spirit, sometimes they can be off. They're saying they're not boot camping because their team doesn't really, get along when they boot camp, or they want to keep the mood okay. I have one counterpoint for you on that. Donk.
These 3, what I've got now is kind of non-negotiable if you want to do a sensible pick'em strategy. And I also think these 2 teams have done enough this year to believe that they will make the playoffs. I think these have been the kind of, 5th and 6th best teams of the year. And that doesn't mean they need to do loads in arenas, but we're not talking about arenas. We're talking about a little booth set up in a hotel. They're going to be fine. Aurora, they're up and down a little bit, but, they're making playoffs. They're a top 6 team. Same with the Mongols. You can talk about pressure, you can talk about all these things. They're going to play a part later. They're going to play a part in the next pick'em video.
Now, another team that usually has at least a couple of players who are always keeping the mood up, it's Aurora. Woxic's been on fire recently. Xantaris, he was carrying for quite a long time. He had some back issues. They're going to have all of those players back. Peak form. Same kind of deal as Spirit. They might lose a match here. Really shouldn't really be any trouble. On top of that, you just have to put MONGOLz through. They've been watching Asia CS have all this success at the Major without them. You think they're just going to be sitting there and let, LinVision show them up? No. They're going to come in here. They're going to definitely get through.
It is a bit tougher. Liquid, I think, are actually going to be my next team through. And the reason is, Twist is very good still. I think Nert's not quite as good in the last few months, but then Chewy has had time now. I think what we saw with Pain can also happen with Liquid, is that they've had time to practice after Dallas. That's when they're going to come back in with fresh ideas. Hopefully they've changed a few roles up, get everyone a bit more comfortable, because I know that's going to be an issue for them. And I do think NAVI as well. And this is where you're seeing that I am a bit of an NPC here, is that I think NAVI is the same story. I think the bootcamp is going to work wonders, and I think they're going to make it through. These 5 teams, I've pretty much said I'm 100% confident in all of them, but we know that the Major just throws up complete bullshit. So I don't want you to see this as me trying to get 10 out of 10. It's me saying that maybe there's a 70%, 75% chance of each of them going through, and then you multiply that by 6, or by 5 in this scenario, and you're like, as long as I get 3 of them, 2 or 3 of them, I'm happy with that.
A team, even though they only snuck through at the end of stage 2, you do have to put FaZe through. Because here's the thing, Simple's warmed up. FaZe, they're doing their classic FaZe bullshit. They always make you wait. They make you wait until the last moment. They make you wait through and sweat through a couple of overtimes, but they get there in the end. To me, that means the classic FaZe magic is back. And among these teams, especially some of the ones who are coming in who aren't so warmed up, like the NAVIs, like the G2s, FaZe should be able to surpass those tests without much trouble.
There are going to be surprises. There always are. There always are surprises. You've got to factor in surprises, and the way you factor in surprises is by not going too hipster with your bottom row. You have to be mental to completely predict a bottom row. Like I was in stage 1. We're going with safe teams. We're going with the good teams, okay? Look at me. I can tell you right now, I think VP and Furia are in good enough form that they could upset some of these teams I've put in the bottom row. I think they could easily be in playoffs. But if I had to rank them on percentage chance, I just go boring. I go with Aura and I go with simple. You know, this is a different ball game now. And I think as much as I really like the new Furia team, I really like parts of what VP have done with the kind of rifle core, even though Flamus is one of my favourite players and been completely destroyed, whatever. I just think at this stage, I don't want to bank on surprises. I don't want to be relying on an underdog in that 2-2 game to save my pick'ems. So what I've done instead is gone a completely basic bitch.
When you get down to this point, you have a team like Virtus Pro who I said they'd be saving their way out of the major. But it's really hard to argue with some of the kind of level that they've brought to the major so far, right? I think VP make it through as well. A team who's had some time to actually practice and fix some of their issues, it's Liquid. They've shown some cracks. They've definitely had some struggles in the matches they've played recently. You have Twist, who's going to be hyped. You have NAV, two of the only North American players left in the major, plus Elige on FaZe. They have to make it through. They're going to want to make it to the stage they want. Hey, it's not quite home representation, okay, but close enough.
I love Envision. They're a lot of fun. I've got a lot of respect for Gum, but I look at Gum and I see a man who just wants to go to sleep. And that means that they're going to come in without having the full preparation. And I think you really need that preparation. I think you really need everyone to be 100%. I think they've kind of used up all the energy they've had to get this far. And it's been really impressive how they've done it. I'm really happy for them. But I think, you know, they've got the extra spot for Asia now. That'll do. Just go 0-3 now. Keep our pick'ems alive. That's absolutely fine.
There's one team who I think people are sleeping on as an 0-3. It's G2. You see, they've not really been the same since they lost m0NESY. If you look at the teams they've beaten, it's really not names that you'd expect, not names that inspire much confidence. And coming into this stage, it's just really not very confidence-inspiring to me. And the vibes have seemed off ever since they lost m0NESY. You don't really see the energy in the matches. You don't really see the cheerfulness or anything that picks them up mid-match.
What I'm going to do is justify putting Legacy 0-3. The reason I'm putting them 0-3 is because they play Vitality in their first game. And I think the hardest bit to predict of this is who's going to be 0-2, because I think a lot of these kind of teams are going to end up playing each other in the 0-1 games and stuff. But number one is the 0-0 games. And who am I 100% confident in being 0-1 halfway through tomorrow? I think it's Legacy.
I stand by what I said in Stage 2. When LinVision qualified, and they said that they hope they don't go 0-3, and then they just barely sneak through in this round with 3-2 record, I'm still not convinced. People might like Amelia, people might love the vibe they're bringing. That vibe is not making it through this stage though. That's a wrap. Lock it in.
Sometimes the major is about hedging your bets on the best teams in the world to do well. But I'm pretty sure Stage 3, you know, this is when you don't have to overthink anymore. Playoffs, we can get saucy again, but Stage 3, it's the big teams, and it's the teams that have surprised, and I think the big teams will have too much, or at least 5 of those big teams will. So that's why we're saving and sinking with steam with this.